When submitting applications for exhibitions and art prizes, it's important that you use photographs that clearly represent your work. You know your work really well, but the judges and assessors don't. So today, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to help you take successful photographs that don't require you to have any specialised equipment. I'm going to be using the camera on my phone and natural light. Light is key to getting a good photograph. Natural light is free and it gives good colour accuracy, so a large window can be a good way to get the light you need. When choosing your location, think about time of day. Make sure there's no direct sunlight hitting the object that you want to photograph. You're looking for soft, diffuse light and plenty of it, so shooting around the middle of the day can be best. Also, consider position. Create a setup that means you don't have to stand between your light source and your object in order to take the photograph. For example, here I am casting a shadow on the work, but when I stand here where I'll be taking the photograph, I'm not. Different types of light sources have different colours or temperatures. For example, natural light is a little bit blue, but most indoor lighting is a little bit yellow. This can distort the colours of your work. Make sure you have only one type of light source in the room where you're taking your photograph. Now we're ready to take the photo. Frame up nice and close with just a little bit of room for cropping later on. In framing up, make sure the angle of your camera matches the angle of the work. You want the edges of your frame to be parallel with the edges of the photo. If your work is leaning against a wall, match the angle of this lean with your camera. I use the 2-second timer. This gives me some time after pressing the button just to make sure that my framing is good. When photographing works behind glass, reflections in the glass can be an issue. Once you've got your work set up, have a look in the glass and see what reflections are there and do what you can to minimise them. Things like closing the curtains on windows, removing light-coloured objects, covering objects that you can't move with dark fabric, and even covering yourself with dark fabric so that you don't show up as a reflection while taking the photo. Another way to avoid the problem of glass reflections is to photograph your work before it's been framed. For works on paper that are not self-supporting, the floor can be a good place to use. When photographing 3D objects, eliminating background distractions is key. Here, I've used a white sheet draped over a curtain rod that I've taped to a chair and put up on the table, just using whatever I had at hand. It's also good to have your background contrast with the colour of your object. Light objects would look better against a dark background. Most 3D objects have an angle of view that best describes what that object is. Make sure you use this angle when photographing your work. Again, you know what your object is, but the assessors don't. Okay, so you have your photos and you're ready to edit. Cropping. Crop to the edge of your work or close to with 3D Works and decide whether or not you want to include your frame if you have one. You can increase the contrast a little, but be careful not to overdo this as it can reduce the quality of your photograph. At this stage, you can also check your white balance to make sure that the colours of your work are accurate. When finally preparing your files, check your application guidelines. What formats do they accept? Do they have size limits? What information do they request in your file name or caption? These tips should help you take successful images for exhibition proposals and the like. But if you need to document your work more formally, say for publication, I do recommend hiring a professional photographer to make sure that you get the quality that you need. I hope you found this video useful and it helps you preparing for your next exhibition proposal or art prize submission.